Hey, everybody. My favorite topic today. We are diving into the world of intelligent virtual assistants with a leader in the space at Interactions. Peter, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you today, Evan.
Good to see you. Really excited for this chat. And it's just an incredible topic given the AI, Gen AI race we are in today. Maybe before that, introduce yourself if you would. And who is Interactions?
I'm Peter Mullen. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Interactions. And Interactions is one of the original developers and builders of platforms that provide excellent customer experiences. So, Evan, we sit at the very front door of your customer engagement. If you're trying to change an airline reservation, if you're trying to return some retail goods, Interactions is the omni-channel experience, chat, voice, what have you, that will ask you, how can we help you today? And from that first question, you're able to engage like a regular human being using your own languages. And we are able to understand what you're saying. It's a blend of AI and human in the loop when needed, not always, just in those special times when it's a little bit hard. And what it means and what we do is provide the world's leading brands with great customer experiences.
Well, that's quite an elevator pitch, and you've been at this for a long time. So, congratulations on all the success. I was intrigued by human in the loop. So, maybe clarify, explain a little bit how you combine AI and human intelligence in your products. That's a kind of novel approach.
And I'll jump into it really quickly. We're one of the OGs, the original gangsters of this type of customer support. So we lead with AI solutions. We build LLMs for the world's leading brands. And, as we know in real life, those are not perfect. And we know that there might be, let's take an example of a voice conversation. There's ambient noise, or there's a difficult accent, or there's an articulation that is not clearly understood. In those circumstances, a portion of our calls will go to a human agent somewhere in the world, not the whole thing. He or she will understand what you're trying to say and will nudge the conversation forward. So for you, the customer, it means that there's minimal delay. You are not running into any elements of frustration. You're getting your conversations solved and your issues solved quicker and more efficiently. And the reason I brought up at the beginning that we've been in at this for a long time is that when we started, there was a high component of human touch that was needed to be successful. Over the years, as technology has adapted, and as you know, all the amazing things that are happening now, less and less is the human needed. However, we believe that the human touch is still a essential part of making this a good customer experience for millions.
Wow, such a great insight there. Congratulations on that. As you know, there's a bit of a gold rush at the moment towards intelligent virtual assistants, given LLMs and all the new technology at our disposal. So, what makes you sort of differentiated from the hundreds of other IVAs out there that are popping up out in the marketplace?
Well, first, we are unique from this element that we have the human touch for this white glove
Mm,
service. In the bigger picture, additionally, we put a pretty high component on the managed services element of this. We work
mm.
with clients who come to us and have a very special focus on delivering excellent customer service. And not every company wants to or needs to do that, but there's a number of them who do. And when they work with interactions, they appreciate that managed service component. They appreciate the ability that we have components that work very well on day one, but we also can manage and customize them in a way that provides that unique experience. And then, as we're looking at this world that's changing so rapidly, where interaction sits in this entire ecosystem of customer support, that we offer in many ways a bridge, a journey from where CX and customer support is today to where it needs to go. Because we have this managed service component, because we're thoughtful about every client that we have and individualize the experience, we're able to say, look, Here's the very complex environment you have right now with multiple platforms, with multiple integrated technologies, frankly, with a lot of legacy and a lot of stuff that's patched together. That defines most contact centers and customer support experiences on the back end or the back office. And we bridge all of that with the technology that we have to get you, the client, into a space where you can take advantage of a lot of these generative AI tools. And generative AI, of course, is an increasingly important component, not just of interactions, but of the entire ecosystem. So you look upon us as that trusted guide to get you there.
Oh, well said. And do you have any particular industries, examples of industries that you're being deployed in? Who's adopting your technology most, would you say, versus one industry versus others?
Well, we're industry agnostic overall, but
Hmm.
the general companies that we work with are typically Fortune 500 in the sense of size, of scale, how many customer support inquiries you have per year. So think about it as roughly a million customer support inquiries per year. We start becoming the right type of solution. I'll give you a couple examples. So um, there's one of the top 3 financial institutions in North America that we work with and provide
Hmm.
our front door solutions for. We started with them and provided, approximately a dozen engagements that you could manage, self-service, fully automated, you as a end user. And over the past 2 or 3 years, we've now grown that to nearly 50 different interactions, which means, in a
Wow.
practical sense, you get your wallet stolen. The first call you make is to your financial institution, and you need to go through a lot of hoops. And let's say in this scenario, your wallet is stolen while you're traveling in a foreign country and you've lost everything. We are able to get you back on track, to block any charges that might be fraudulent, to get another card that will be sent to the hotel that you're staying at, which is not your normal address. And all of that can be self automated. So that's a type of example of what we deliver.
That's fantastic. Yes, consumers, most of us would agree, customer service at most of the companies we deal with is fair to middling at best. So how do you think about improving customer service? Are there key metrics you look at, or is it the user experience? And, how do you think about measuring that and the ROI that you can offer customers?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because there's so many different ways that different companies are trying to answer this. And
Mm,
for the end user, Evan, this is one reason that one customer will say he had a great experience at
mm,
his company A, but on company B, he had a terrible experience. But both company A and B are saying, hey, we're giving awesome vibes to everybody. And it's how we're measuring it. So, in our industry, there is containment. How much has the call or the conversation been contained, or you haven't asked for an agent? We at Interactions don't believe that's the right measure, by the way, but it is a legacy measure. Containment doesn't mean that you're happy as the end user. It just means that you have not, your conversation has kind of closed itself off. There is NPS, a net promoter score, and these are the
mm.
fast surveys that we do at the end. We think those are pretty limited. We are moving more and more at Interactions into effort scores. And this is about 10 years old. Gartner is behind the effort score. And what it measures is how easy it was for a customer to get her issue resolved quickly. And to us, that's where the world is going. It is, yes, about a white glove experience. Yes, it's about an excellent joy and even a craveable experience. It's one of the buzzwords we have at Interactions is craveable. But at the end of the day, it is getting her issue resolved and letting her go back to the day that she was having before she had to contact one of the brands.
Well, that's a nice thought. Hopefully, your technology will get some adoption with my favorite providers and brands. The pandemic saw, massive uptick in virtual assistant adoption, demand off the charts with e-commerce and other requirements, but we haven't seen that recede. There's still huge labor shortages. There's high turnover in the contact center. You think this is a mega trend that we just have to accept and deal with through virtual assistant technology for the next decade?
Well, there's a couple data points that really underpin what you just said. So Last year, customer support was at a 23-year low. The
Oh,
last
wow.
23 years ago, what was going on? 9/11 was going on, and it was that world of incredible turbulence. The pandemic has made things worse or more challenging on multiple levels. First, everything you just said is right. It is harder to get great agents around the world to be engaged, committed, and you know, delivering excellence regardless of the vertical and regardless of where they are trying to provide those services. It's just been tough post pandemic. Meanwhile, for us, the end users, our expectations have become way more personalized than they were even just a couple years ago. And that personalization is driven by that supercomputer that you and I carry in our pockets
Hmm.
or in purses, et cetera. So where are we today? Well, we did a survey not that long ago at Interactions that said 38% of all consumers would rather plunge a toilet than contact customer support.
Wow.
Wow, we're getting into some deep stuff if that's the survey results. And what that now means in the age of generative AI is that it's only going to become more acute. This inflection point between customer expectations and the challenges that customer contact centers are having today. Um, to put like a sweeping statement on it, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I do think that with generative AI, with the new technologies that are coming out, there is a pathway to make this a better solution for the end users. And that involves greater agent assist tools. And what does that mean? Essentially, it just means let's make an agent's job easier. Let's enable her to have better responses on chat, have some better, perhaps, sentiment analysis of whether you are angry or you're feeling okay as you're chatting back and forth. Let's be able to understand that. And then in the back office, with that agent assist concept, let's provide greater efficiency for all the things that she has to do so your solution gets resolved faster. Many of these agents have multiple screens that they're toggling back and forth with just to handle what you would consider a relatively basic task. So that becomes a neat thing about where generative AI is going. They're on the front end of the communications. The tools are getting more and more intelligent, and that's what we do at Interactions, as well as bringing it into that back office type scenarios. Uh, so in a very optimistic way, there's never been a better opportunity for customer experience leaders to look at the technology that's out there, look at what the customer needs, and start delivering excellence to them.
Well said. And as you were speaking, I was just actually looking at an article a couple weeks ago on the economics of the technology you're providing. It looks pretty extraordinary. This case study looked at $300 million in annual value, savings, cost avoidance, through AI technology and new uh, LLMs and workflows. Uh, that's pretty incredible to see. Is that a typical with a large customer? Is that a typical analysis of the economics? I mean, that's basically saving the time of thousands of traditional full-time agents through your technology.
Yeah, we looked at this and really dug deep into it,
Mm,
and you're referencing the results of that study. We looked at our top clients, and we're saving them about $300 million per year with relatively conservative estimates. And what we look at is how many individuals, millions of individual end users, can have their questions resolved through self-service automation, not with containment, but
mm.
with actual resolution. And then how does that get saved on the back end? Because the alternative is that you would have to have a human being somewhere in the world solving that. There's much higher costs, et cetera. So that 300 million, we're extremely proud of. And to give you a sense of what that looks like at the individual level, we had one company that we saved 60 million minutes to last year.
Wow.
One company alone. And now we're talking, there's a lot of commas in the amount of dollars that we're saving companies like that with that type of self-service automations.
Fantastic. Any tips or tricks or best practices you would suggest for companies thinking about embarking on this conversational AI journey and maybe have a lot of technical debt or haven't gotten started yet? What are the best one, two, three sort of baby steps that they can take to plan moving forward?
You're asking the number one question that a customer experience executive is asking right now, and the senior SVP of digital transformation is asking him about, and the CEO is asking the SVP about. Um, here's the situation. I believe the number of CEOs in their quarterly earnings now is well over 80% are talking about how they're bringing AI into their ecosystems. And that
Wow.
trickles down really, really fast. Meanwhile, the external world, like we were just talking about, is having all of these incredible inputs and essentially promises of what generative AI now offers. Then you get into the ecosystems where you and I live, the actual customer experience. And there's a lot of opportunity that is starting to happen, but there's also a lot of challenges and legacy. And I'll give you a really simple example of what I'm talking about. I was at a conference several weeks ago. It was the same week that OpenAI and Google both made their large announcements, almost back to
Mm.
back. And you and I were talking in the middle of the second quarter of 2024. And at this conference, I listened to over 40 people give wonderful presentations on stage. Every single one had an AI component to their message. Yet, none of them talked about the new advancements that were being unveiled literally hour by hour while we were all at this event. And the takeaway was simply that things are happening so fast that uh, the leaders of these great companies are trying to keep up, and this is all situational of how we think about it. So now, how do we take the first steps? It's pretty easy. Let's look at how AI can come in and bring simple efficiencies. Let's do it in contained silos where we are not going to make any mistakes. Keep your AI, at least for right now, away from the end user, because there are some, whether you call it a hallucination or just shortcomings of the product. Um, in most cases, you're not ready for prime time. However, what quickly will happen is that you will become ready for prime time. And when I say you in this case, I mean you are the CX expert of a large company. As you're beginning to test, you're beginning to find efficiencies, you're able to get internal increasing buy-in on what you're doing. So now it's rolling up to the SVP of digital transformation. She's nodding her head. The CEO is nodding their head and saying, okay, we're making progress on this. And then you grow across it. Um, there's a wonderful place for this type of technology. It needs to be incredibly responsible over the next several years. So, if I'm giving the advice to all those people who are speaking in at that conference that I just described, it's that you carve out what exactly you're doing. You have your proof points set to it. You create small projects that become middle size, that become a little bit larger, and you accrue the value of AI over the next several quarters.
Well, that's a great approach. I also noticed you have a patent portfolio as an OG in this space of over 2,000 patents. That's pretty extraordinary AI, NLP, and related technology. Um, that's first of all, that's amazing. But secondly, how do you see yourself leveraging that over the next couple of years? Are there particular technologies you're really excited about and looking to bring those to market as well?
Yeah, we are going to most of the patents that, and we have a over 130 that we've created on our own. We have licensed over, we have exclusive license for the most part of nearly 2,000, and they are focused in the areas of AI and NLP, natural language processing. And what we are looking at is not just, and now we have AI, right? That is coming in and in most cases is licensable or open source.
Right.
If you are a engineer and a product marketer, it's an incredible moment in time to look around and say, how did I get this opportunity to start having these tools available to me with increasing frequency? Um, we look at this and what are we building toward? We're building toward a world that starts with the customer and a customer outstanding experience, defined as having a effortless, craveable experience. And that's when they get off the phone or chat and they're like, wow, that was easy. And that becomes a brag.
Mhm.
The airline becomes their favorite airline because of this great customer engagement. And it's worth mentioning in today's modern era, most brands have their number one touch point with their customers today through customer support and customer experience. So, this increasingly in the years ahead is going to be the primary way that brands are going to interface with all of us. And where we go with that is we're looking at experiences, whether we call it an always on intelligent virtual assistant, whether we call it a task orchestration experience where you never have to press zero and ask for an agent because we can handle your needs further and further into the depths of resolution of what you need, which we all know is very complex. For you to change an airline reservation and to create a new airline reservation, it's very hard to do that without talking to a human agent, unless you're doing it all on your own online.
Mm.
But we're looking at those journeys. We're looking at those 8, 10 steps and saying, how do we solve all of them? How do we put the patent library and the technology into it in a ways that, like I said at the beginning, reference back that craveable experience for everybody.
Well said. So we're entering the summer months. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit of a slowdown and some time to for R&R. But what are you looking forward to the next couple of months? Any events or meetings or travel? What's on your and the team's radar?
Yeah, so the way so I run the marketing department, and what we have discovered over the past couple years is that we're getting the most impact in terms of talking to executives about how we can support and help by meeting them in person and building the
Mm,
relationships with them. Eh, I have a thesis that the two biggest and most important words in marketing are trust and confidence. You got to
mm,
build the trust that leads to confidence. This is not a new idea, but it has extra emphasis in the world where there are so many new things hitting decision makers all at once. So, even more than, gosh, call it a year ago, I'm discovering that from a marketing perspective, the folks that are caring about new solutions, they are looking for somebody who can be a bit of a Sherpa for them, who can um, not sell to them but partner with them. Again, nothing new, but it just is so enhanced and important right now. So, what do I do? From a marketing perspective, we go to a lot of events. We set up a lot of conversations with roundtables. We have dinners. We build that type of trust bridge work. Interactions on the big picture, every company that we work with right now is asking, what do we do next? And so we are on site at a lot of those companies. We're engaging with them more than we were a year ago and playing that type of partner role to figure out the best next steps for them.
well done. In the old days, we used to call that trusted advisors. We weren't salespeople, but those days seem to be over, but not at interactions. Well done. Well,
It's
thanks so much, Peter.
But for
uh,
sure, and you know what? And I really like that you just said that because the world is speeding up, and you can buy $1 million solutions off the internet. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the whole world of SaaS and cloud has made it that there needs to be less and less human touch. However, what you just said about consultative engagements has a higher premium and a higher value than it has probably had in the last 20 years.
I would agree. And on that high note, thanks so much for just spending a few minutes giving a peek behind the curtain to a great company, also Boston headquartered, which I'm always intrigued by being here myself. So look forward to keeping in touch, meeting some of the team, and seeing you in person this fall somewhere out and about for sure. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. I appreciate it.